into real action heroes. Making it big in the movies is no easy task, but one training camp's helping some hopeful stars punch right through the competition, literally. Les Trent explains.
There's a quiet place of reflection in the hills overlooking New York's Hudson River. But this ain't it. You don't come here for rest and relaxation. But this joint does offer up a nice dose of hair pulling, high dives, and double leg takedowns. The Action Film Camp is everything its name implies. The brainchild of actor and martial arts expert Michael D. Pasquale. It's a hands-on,
hits here. No!
3-day intensive course for would-be action heroes.
How to take a head snap is important. How to take a body shot and make it look like they're really taking a body shot. How to fall, which is my expertise.
In fact, D. Pasquale can make even the mildest of mild-mannered reporters look invincible.
Action.
But the camp is more than fisticuffs. It also offers tips on how to effectively read for a part.
I think somebody's out there.
The 60-plus students come from all walks of life. Bruce Alden is a Houston cop. Bob Nemphos, a phys ed teacher. Douglas Geddes is a commodities broker who came here from South Africa.
This is a love of mine, the martial arts and the actual film industry, the happenings behind it, what goes on.
The demure Lita Kuntz, a social worker.
You want to be out there taking and throwing punches?
Yes, sir.
That's a long stretch from social work.
Yes, it is. Well, no. You have to roll with the punches there, too.
The instructors are top-notch in the action industry. Most of them appear in D. Pasquale's new movie, The Cutoff. Some have worked with the likes of Jackie Chan. And we found out what goes on when you want to blow stuff up. Watch this explosive shoot-'em-up scene staged for the graduating class of Action Camp 99. And after a hard day's work, there's nothing Mike D. Pasquale loves more than to know he's taught his students well.
Who knows, maybe we'll get you in our next action film and,
hey,
you know.
Deal.
That's a deal.
Nice job.
If anybody can do it, Les Trent can do it. Mike says no one's ever been seriously hurt at his camp, and attendance apparently pays off. After attending a similar program in L.A., 4 students were immediately hired for movie roles.
Well, I'm going to have to be very careful with my first guest tonight. No wiseacre remarks. In addition to appearing in some action movies, just as those you just saw, publishing a magazine and writing books, Michael D. Pasquale Jr. is a martial arts expert and teacher and is a 9th degree black belt in what?
Jiu-jitsu, actually, is my forte.
I'm glad you said that. There's judo, there's karate, and there's jiu-jitsu, and what is the difference between the 3?
The difference is karate pretty much and judo are derived from jiu-jitsu. It's one of the older art forms. In Japan it started. And jiu-jitsu uses a lot of armbar locks, a lot of pressure points, but there's still kicking and punching involved in it. Whereas karate is pretty much an open-handed fighting style, which deals with kicking and punching. Block, kick, and punch are primary goals here, as is taekwondo. Taekwondo is prevalent with their kicking, their high kicking. Judo is a sport. It was derived from a man named Jigoro Kano, who was a jiu-jitsu master in Japan many years ago. And with that, he decided instead of breaking arms and doing pressure points and chokeholds, things that would be illegal, he would make a sport out of it.
Make a game out of it.
Right. Yeah. And what he did was he took out the armbar breaks and everything else and just pretty much had a system that allowed you to have a point system where if you held a person for 20 seconds on the ground, a jijigatami or a katagatami, or one of the moves that you would have, or do a judo throw like a uchigari or sotogari, there would be a point scoring match that would be involved there.
Michael, if you went to Japan, could you get along? Do you speak that much Japanese?
No,
or
I
do
don't.
You just know the names
I
of
don't
the
speak too much. I've been very fortunate, though, to move all over the world, actually, with what I do. I teach a lot of jiu-jitsu, and I've been involved in many, many different aspects. Plus, since my publication has been around the world, I'm able to meet a lot of different people, Japanese, Korean, and get along with all of them. I think they all have something to offer, all art forms.
Is it like a world unto itself, the martial arts world?
It is and it isn't. Not anymore. That's one of the reasons why I got involved in building, you know, the biggest internet site in the world, martial art internet site with AOL. I built it originally, and it's about 40,000 pages. Pretty much everybody goes in there. It's an entertainment. The entertainment end of the martial arts deals with Chuck Norris, Sammo Hung, a Lethal Weapon. Now it's become so broad that it's no longer kind of like that hidden behind closed doors art form. Years ago, my father's one of the pioneers in jiu-jitsu.
Your dad was in law enforcement and also a martial arts expert?
Throughout his life in law enforcement, he's in the CID in the Army, and he did quite a bit with the CID, and he came back from World War II, and he was one of the pioneers on the East Coast, and in America, he's one of the truly original pioneers. There's a few of them out there that are left today, and father being, not that he's not well these days, unfortunately he's got knee operations, he's got, you know, a bunch of things, diabetes. He really is responsible pretty much on the East Coast, along with several others, for really bringing martial arts to the East Coast. But it's gotten so big, it's one of the reasons why my magazine...
Yeah, now here's Sammo Hung. Now Sammo Hung is not an advertisement for health and diet. You know, he's a heavy set. He's fat.
Doesn't matter. I went to China and made a movie back in 1991 called China Heat, Pain and Blood, and there were people that were out of shape. He studied at the you know, opera, the Chinese opera house, with along with Jackie Chan, good friends. And these guys, doesn't matter. There are people out there that have flexibility, that are raised, taught how to have that flexibility.
Because, you know, you look at guys like Chuck Norris and some of the other martial arts guys that are in the movies, and they look like athletes.
Yeah.
He does not.
Yeah. Well, we have that. I mean, I have an action film camp that's coming up, and I mean, I have a lot of people that you'd be surprised are out of shape, but I teach people how to break into movies, and my action film camp does that. It's next week, as a matter of fact, up in New York State. We have, in fact, a couple TV shows like Extra coming along to film it. We've been doing it for about 9 years, and when I produced my first movie, The Cutoff, which is the movie that I decided that I would use majority of the people from my, you know, film camp that we sponsor.
Oh, in other words, people who you taught will be appearing in a film that you've made?
We are, yeah, I just finished producing. I executive produced it, I wrote it, starred in it. I have, in fact, Frank Capra Jr. is my father in the movie. I did it down at Screen Gems Studios where Brandon Lee was shot, actually, and they made Ninja Turtles. In fact, Dawson's Creek is shot there, and the producer was vice president, his name is Gerald Waller, of Screen Gems, who became friends of mine, and Tony Errico was the executive producer along with me, and we decided to do this movie. It's a mob movie, it's not a martial art movie. I think you have a clip of it here, I'm not sure.
Yeah, we're going to show it a little bit later.
But the people that come to the camp are all sizes, shapes, weights. I mean, you can't imagine how many people we have come there that you would never believe can move and take falls like Sammo off of this stage and land on their back with not a problem. It's just a matter of understanding how do you condition yourself. It's like anything else. You basically swim probably different than I swim, and you know, it's no different than somebody playing baseball, and they're a little bit, their style of hitting the ball is a little bit different than your style, but they can manage to hit the ball. So it's all a matter of how you were trained. I think that's really important, the conditioning.
When you said the film was a mob film, not a martial arts movie?
No, it's actually an action. It's an action. I wrote the script about 10 years ago when it was really related to. I saw a limousine get hit in New York City, and with that, I decided that I would make a movie. And I said, what if that was the mob boss in the limousine? You hit it innocently, and he blamed somebody. He thought it was another mob crew trying to kill him, the Godfather. So with that, I came up with a story, and the story really relates to a guy that hits this guy, a mob boss, in the car, and the mob boss has somebody go out and get the license plate number, but they end up killing his brother because it's his brother's vehicle that he's driving, and he now avenges his brother's death by going after these guys that killed his brother. Now, very interesting story.
What's the next step, though? I mean, the film is done. It's in the can.
Yeah, it is in the can completely. I have a distributor for the international market. I have several distributors actually came after me, but I'm dealing with Alan Solomon right now with Amstel Entertainment, who distributed a lot of the Billy Blanks movies and a lot of, like, Red Scorpion, also Yuzuka Way and Tiger Claws 1, 2, and 3, a lot of the action-oriented. And now I'm working on, through my internet site, my magazine, which is distributed to 52 countries, and the internet site is probably the biggest thing I even have now for promoting, and my movie production company, which is...
You're busy. We're going to take a break before you run out of breath. We'll be right back with martial arts expert, producer, magazine publisher, actor, Michael D. Pasquale Jr., and writer. Don't go away.
So you're Michael, huh? I've heard so much about you.
Lample said you got some work for me.
With a cigarette in your hand?
Yeah, the director wanted me to have a cigarette because my hands would get... I used to notice I talk like an Italian with my hands in a way, so they said, get a cigarette and just put it in his hand because I was always moving my hands around, so... And my hands got very big on camera. But the ending of that is really dynamic with a lot of explosions and stunts. We teach all the people we have at our camp that is next week. We teach pyrotechnics. We have 2 cars we're exploding next week. We're teaching them how to squib, which is, we teach everybody. What we're doing is lower...
What's squib? You left me behind with that
Squibbing is when you, I shoot you and all of a sudden the hole breaks open in your chest and blood comes flying out. Yeah. That's a squib.
Oh, okay.
And we squib people, teach them how to handle machine guns and firearms properly for film. We teach them how to act. We do production reality, how to put a package together when you go in front of people.
How far in advance do people have to sign up for that?
They can still sign up. Actually, we still take people. We try to take as many as we can. Although we are getting full right now. But I do it. I've done it in Burbank, Atlanta. I've done it in quite a few different places. But next week is the big one, and that's up in Storm King Mountain above West Point. Beautiful, overlooking the Hudson. We have a big.
I know the area. Yeah.
Yeah, Storm King Mountain School actually is where we do that, and hopefully anybody who's interested in coming, they're more than welcome to still sign up.
You've also written some books, Streetwide Safety for Children and for Women. And these are not martial arts books. I mean, these books are just full of common sense tips on how to keep your home safe and how to park at the mall to make sure that, nobody is next to you that can do you some harm. And to have a baseball bat around, I guess. It doesn't hurt, right?
I used to, I've always gotten involved. I started an anti-crime organization in 1982. It's probably one of the first things I've done, which was an anti-crime organization dedicated to reducing the incidence of violent crime and drugs in America. And I've done a lot of programs with that, and done a lot of television years ago. But I was always concerned with the well-being of children and women and people with disabilities, only because with disabilities they're vulnerable, and I do a lot of disabled with the HIP organization.
Waving a red flag.
Right, and it's a shame, but I've helped quite a few of the disabled folks with the HIP organization, independent living, learn some of the ways that they can combat crime through not only self-defense. Self-defense does not start from the physical side, it starts from the mental side. How are you aware? How do you secure yourself so you can not be vulnerable? And how do you secure your home? So these are the books I started writing many years ago. Actually, I started writing before I started publishing a magazine with Simon & Schuster. I had 6 books with them.
What was the first martial arts movie you ever saw?
Five Fingers of Death was one of the first martial movies. It's kind of funny, but the first martial art movie that I ever saw and I was in, it was my father. My father did a movie back, and no one knows this, but in 1967, Paramount Pictures approached my dad before Chuck, before Bruce, before anybody, and they did a movie called Chop Chop, and it was a documentary, 10-minute documentary that Chris Schenkel narrated. And it was 10 minutes. My father's my idol. Yeah. My father was always, he never really looked at martial arts because it was always a hobby. I still have a school in Rivervale, New Jersey, and I maintain that school because my father always had a school. And I don't need the school at this point with everything else I'm doing, but I love to teach. And I love to be able to have people come in, and I have other people running it. But my father, it's there for my father. It's there for people to come in off the street, or when they visit the East Coast, they can come visit me at my school and work out with me. But it was the first movie that I ever saw and ever made, actually. My mother was even in it. She threw somebody in a lake in Demorest, New Jersey. But Paramount Pictures made it, and it was a short documentary that went to Vietnam, went all over the world.
How old were you at the time?
I had to be 10, 11 years old at the time, and my mom and my dad, gave me the opportunity, and I'll never forget it because they couldn't fit the cameras in the dojo, so they built the 3-wall dojo outside, and they put the 2 cameras outside, and they had the Karate Creed, which was at the end. Chris Schenkel had said the Karate Creed when my father was breaking a patio block, but it was all about jiu-jitsu, judo, karate, and it was basically a documentary on those particular sport and art forms.
How about the great martial arts stars that so many people grew up admiring, Bruce Lee?
I love Bruce Lee. In fact, I thought Bruce Lee was one of my idols, and I think that he's still an idol of many people. He had a strong influence on a lot of martial arts, like Chuck Norris, Joe Louis, and a lot of the famous fighters at the time. Bruce, I think he influenced. Jackie Chan was in, I don't know, a lot of people don't know Jackie Chan was in Enter the Dragon. He was the guy that was inside when the snake was coming out. He's one of the guys that got hits over the head by Bruce. But there's a lot that we have to be thankful for that Bruce did.
And Chuck Norris?
Chuck I know Chuck personally. He's a wonderful, wonderful human being. He's done a lot for the martial arts. He's a concerned martial artist. He's a concerned human being. He does a lot for people in general, not only in the martial art industry, but he goes out of his way when he need, and he also has kicked drugs out of America.
Michael, to some degree, a lot of people look at some of the what they call the chopsaki movies, as comedies. You know, you can't believe that a person can make that kind of a noise by moving their hand and all that kind of stuff. Is there room for serious martial arts movies, or is it just going to continue along as it is? What do you think?
I think it's happening now. I think even the movie I made is a very serious action martial art movie, because there's martial arts. Most people in are martial arts, and there's great martial art technique. But I think if you look at Lethal Weapon, it's not a comedy. Lethal Weapon is a serious movie, even though there's comedy in it. Yeah. And you look at some of the other TV shows, there's a storyline to it. It's not always chopsaki martial arts. Chuck's movies, TV series, is definitely about, he always has an underlying principle.
There's a moral to all the story.
Right, about anti-drugs, I mean, about crime, about kidnapping. And that's something that really revolves around martial arts, only because does the average guy on the street, the average cop, the average lawmaker know how to fight? And if he does know how to fight, does he know martial arts? It's something that I think that, I teach law enforcement. I mean, I've been teaching the special forces, the marshals, and they need that. I mean, so even in the storyline behind TV and movie, yes, I think there's a serious side to it now, and it's becoming more serious. It's one of the reasons why I've gotten into the entertainment industry, because I want to be able to say, okay, well, here's the internet, here's the movie making and TV making, and here's the magazine publishing. Put them together, even though they're martial oriented. There's a lot of avenues. I created characters called the Max Team and the Karate Creatures. There's so many ways to go with that and make it serious.
Have you ever been in a spot where you were very lucky that you knew how to do this?
Absolutely. I worked in the bar business for 14 years. You know, I'm not afraid to admit it. I needed to make a living while I was publishing my magazine. In the beginning, I was poor, you know, and I was doing everything pretty much at night and pretty much during the day, and working till 2 or 3 in the morning at the bicycle club, actually, in Fort Lee.
Does it get like the old gunslinger days when people know that you're a martial arts expert? Everybody wants to knock the chip off your shoulder.
I don't think it happens as much, but it has happened. It's happened to me a couple times where they knew my reputation, my name, and back then I was doing a bunch of different TV shows like Regis and a bunch of others, and right away they come in there and say, who's that guy? You know, where is this guy?
Where's the tough guy?
But very rarely. I mean, I always taught my way pretty much out of things, because I think that, you know, again, if you're a martial artist, you're disciplined, you're taught properly in the arts forms, you really, and my father was the greatest teacher in the world. He was in law enforcement all his life. He said that you never raise your hand unless you have to. It's a defensive mechanism to what you need to know for, you know, purposes that deal with crime or purposes that deal with violence. It's not an offensive mechanism.
Michael, final question. You're a 9th degree black belt. How many degrees are there, or is it endless?
I can't go any higher than I am. My father is the high. I take over my father's system when he passes on, and hopefully he'll live forever. I mean, you know, he's a great guy. He's a great human being, and I will get to that rank when he's no longer here and take over the system. But with that, I mean, my father has given me the ability to be able to get to that rank, and hopefully in the future we can keep on growing with it. It's one of the reasons why, I mean, between all the avenues of the medium that I'm into, you know, I'm looking to definitely get into a joint venture.
Well, what would he be? I mean, you're 9th degree. What would your dad be?
He's a 10th dan. He's a what they call a soke. A soke is the owner of the system. He, you know, if the system is given, his instructor Junji Saito from Japan, who died at 103, handed him the system. So you're inherited. You inherit the system.
That's why he's the boss, in other words.
Yes, but it's also aggravating to see
capo della capo,
there's
right?
a million people, exactly. There's a million people out there that unfortunately are getting ranks that they really don't deserve. I mean, you know, you talk about a guy that's an 8th degree, and you say, what's your background? They don't have a background. It's very tough, because there's so many people out there there's no legitimate reason why.
I'm sure there are a lot of people who just say I am, whether they are or not.
Sure.
Whether anybody even gave it to them.
Exactly. That's exactly what's happening. You have so much of that, and we're trying to somewhere regulate that. In fact, Chuck Norris and Bob Wall, the guy who played the bad guy in Enter the Dragon, they talked to me about putting together a martial art registry with Chuck's name behind it. We are probably going to put a martial art registry
together. A national registry?
A national registry with his name behind it. There's a lot there, and that's one of the reasons why we're going after basically the capital, to be able to take each one of these entities and make them bigger. I feel I'm in that position to do that, and hopefully we can manage to get the capital to do that. And the entertainment end of it, the martial art, the anti-crime end of it, and of course the interactive end of it, which is the interactive media.
Which reminds me that if those of you who are watching now are interested in finding out more about martial arts, there's the website, www.mawn.net.
Yes.
And it is a hell of a website to look at, even if you're not interested in martial arts.
And if they're interested in the movie,
if
they're interested in the movie camp, please do give a call.
Okay.
I'll give them the number 201-666 7100 is the number they can call.
Mike,
They're
thank you.
next week.
Thanks for
My
coming by.
pleasure. I enjoyed it very, very much. I always enjoyed your show. You do a great job.
Well, thank you.
I've been
Thank
watching
you.
it for years.
And I don't have any belts. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, motivational speaker Barry Farber will join me to talk about how to achieve success and get the most out of life.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Desiree Bear from Riverdale. Don't try this at home. These are stunt men, and we're learning how to